Hi everyone, my name is Tejas Chopra and I am a senior software engineer at Netflix. The topic for today is compression, deduplication, and encryption conundrums in cloud. The agenda for the talk: I'll go over a brief introduction about myself. We'll talk about cloud storage costs and footprint, and what exactly is compression, deduplication, encryption? What is the right order of applying them? And finally, some learnings and takeaways. I am a senior software engineer at Netflix. I work with the data storage platform team here at Netflix. My job is to architect backend infrastructure and storage solutions to support the exabyte scale data and billions of assets that are generated by Netflix studios and streaming platforms. I am also a keynote speaker and I talk on distributed systems, cloud, blockchain. I was at Box where I was architecting storage solutions to support millions of customers and petabytes of data. I have worked in companies such as Datrium, Samsung, Cadence, and Tensilica. So why do organizations try to move to cloud these days? There are several reasons. One of them is manageability, scalability, and pay-per-use. When it comes to costs, for storing any data on the cloud, there are three costs that are associated with it. One is the per request cost of actually putting the data on the cloud, then actually the data at rest cost, and finally, the cost to read the data out of the cloud. For a given file stored in cloud, if the file is read many times, you actually pay egress cost each time. Now imagine if you have hundreds of petabytes of data, just like Box, or exabytes of data that Netflix has. And if you design your systems to just blindly go and put the data on cloud and egress it out of the cloud at any time, then you can potentially be paying billions of dollars over 5 to 10 years. We have seen that traditionally, on-premise file systems have used techniques such as compression and deduplication to reduce the file footprint. Is there a way to employ the same techniques in conjunction with encryption to see if we can reduce the footprint of our data in cloud and thereby reduce the cost for these enterprises? Typically, in order to reduce your regular cloud bill, the way the different optimizations are performed is either you right size and choose the right amount, right instance for the right job. You actually use reserved instances where you pay slightly less than instances required at that particular time. And the third important way is storage. In this talk, we will explore how we can reduce the cloud costs by layers of software written on top of storage. That will eventually reduce the cloud bill. Compression is the ability to reduce the size of the stored object by compressing the object during writes, reading back the compressed object, and then decompressing it to serve the read requests. There are several techniques for compression. Some of them are lossy and some of them are lossless. There's gzip, lzip, lz4, etc. The other thing to note is not all data is compressible. For example, media files are not, images are not. Text files give great compression results. As you can see here, there is some raw data. After compression, you reduce the size of the data. After deduplication, you further reduce the size and the footprint of the original data. And note that you can recreate the original data if you have the right references kept in the deduplicated and compressed data. The overhead of compression is generally less than 2%, which is very acceptable for solutions that deal with file storage, such as any cloud provider like Google Storage or something like that. But it is not very acceptable for streaming videos, because for streaming videos, you really need speed and low latency. I have seen that in organizations such as Box, the compression ratios were actually more than 5x for a lot of content, which was just files and folders. Deduplication. So deduplication means that you actually store one copy of the file, and if there is a duplicate, instead of storing multiple copies of the file, you hand out references to users and applications. So in the storage layer, only a single copy gets stored. What happens when a user or an app tries to delete a file? The file does not actually get deleted from the backend unless all the users and apps delete the file. So this means that you need to maintain some form of reference counting for every file and object that is deduplicated. The interesting question becomes, how do you know that some file is a duplicate of the other? There are two techniques to know that. One of them is online deduplication and the other is offline deduplication. In online deduplication, you actually check for the duplicate before you push the file to cloud. In offline deduplication, you push the file to cloud and there is a cron or some form of a daemon that runs in the background that periodically checks if some files are duplicates of each other and then will delete the files. So you can imagine that in offline, you actually pay the request cost of sending the file to cloud. You use the bandwidth to send the file, and you also use the time it takes for the daemon to detect that the file is a duplicate. And that is why online deduplication is much more efficient than offline deduplication. An interesting thing is that you can also deduplicate at finer granularities. So you're in cases where you have large image files that go into megabytes or gigabytes sometimes. And if a very small tiny pixel of an image has changed, then you will not get any deduplication benefits. The way to do that, solve that, is to deduplicate at chunk levels instead of file levels, which means that a given object, a gigabyte sized object, may actually be divided into 100 kilobyte chunks. And that means that even if a small pixel changes, 99% of these chunks will be deduplicated against each other, and only the chunk that has that changed pixel will not be able to deduplicate. So that is what we use at Netflix to deduplicate content. Also, deduplication boundaries are often dictated by security. So imagine that there is a document that is shared in multiple enterprises. It could be some new rule by the government. Um, if there is no deduplication boundary, then all of these different enterprises that use a cloud storage will deduplicate that file to a single stored content on cloud, and they will be handed references. However, for security reasons, I have seen that in enterprises such as Box, the deduplication domain was actually an org. So you could only deduplicate files within an enterprise and not across enterprises. This is the essence of how deduplication works. You actually have some data and hash values are generated from each piece of data. A hash is nothing but a signature of the data. The hash values then get compared to identify duplicates. So for duplicate files, their hash would be the same. And finally, once that has been detected, duplicates are replaced with pointers to save the storage space. Coming to the third important topic of encryption. So encryption implies obfuscating the data to avoid unauthorized access on the wire or at rest. In fact, encryption is one of the critical pieces of cloud storage, and a lot of investment is made these days by these cloud providers to design encryption that is serving the user's needs. There are two strategies of encryption: client-side encryption and server-side encryption. Encryption over the wire actually gets solved by TLS. On the client-side encryption, the clients would encrypt the content before sending it over to the cloud provider. On the server-side encryption, TLS is used to encrypt the content over the wire, and then the encrypted content reaches the server side. The server will encrypt the content on its end and either maintain and manage the keys or take the key management service information from the client itself. I have seen that in many enterprises, clients generally prefer encrypting the data on their own before sending it to the server. In Netflix, file sizes are often greater than the maximum supported size by S3. So we actually have a layer on top of S3, which chunks the file into smaller pieces and then uploads them. The interesting part to note is that each of these chunks is separately encrypted. Now, the important part is that encrypted data is not compressible and it is rarely deduplicable. And this informs a lot of the choices on the order in which compression, deduplication, and encryption have to be employed to reduce the cloud footprint. Ordering rule number 1, you encrypt last. If the data is encrypted, you cannot really do anything about compression or deduplication. So you have to store the file as is. If client-side encryption is used, it means that you have to employ online deduplication because the content that reaches the cloud is already encrypted offline deduplication will not be able to find duplicates if different encryption keys are used. So you would be forced to use online deduplication and compression on the client side, and the design can get really complicated. There are some design choices you can make. Either every object will be encrypted with a separate encryption key, or you could maintain a single encryption key per pool of objects. And this has implications on deduplication and security. By maintaining a single encryption key per pool of objects, if two objects within the pool are duplicates of each other and encrypted by the same key, the encrypted content will also be the same. So there is a chance for offline deduplication techniques to catch that and deduplicate them. However, like I said, it comes at the cost of some security. So it's a tough balance that you have to maintain while designing these systems. Ordering rule number 2, deduplicate first. So you would want to employ online deduplication. And the way you would do it is when the data is being streamed, you actually maintain a global pool of fingerprints. Fingerprints are nothing but hashes of data. And you compare the current object or chunk's fingerprint with the fingerprints in the pool. If the data is already present, then that means there is no need to stream the data to cloud. And what you would instead do is increase the reference count of the fingerprint and return the reference to the stored object on cloud. The reason you try to deduplicate first is that which time compression algorithms will change. By deduping first, you're protecting against any change in algorithms in the future. So coming back to how an optimum write or a read would work. So for an optimum write flow, you would actually have the client send over the data to an on-premise system, and that will forward the data to cloud. The reason we have an on-premise system is to help us with compression, deduplication, encryption, and also to save costs for egress that we had discussed previously. So when the data is being streamed, you would actually generate the fingerprint of the data that is being stored and pushed to cloud. And you would first check if the data exists in this global fingerprint table. This is the essence of deduplication. If it is not present, you would first insert the fingerprint in the pool. Then you would try to do compression, where you would compress using on-premise compute and write the file locally. So the local storage now contains compressed bits of the file. Finally, just at the point of uploading to cloud, you would employ encryption techniques on the client side and then forward the upload to cloud. Once the bits have made it to the cloud, you would update the fingerprint table with a reference to the location in the cloud bucket of the object that was initially sent. So for read requests that come in, when a read request is issued, what you want is to fetch the compressed client-side encrypted data from cloud locally. And the way you do it is you first check the location of the file in the global fingerprint table. It will hand you a reference to the file in the cloud bucket. Then you go to the cloud bucket, you download the encrypted and compressed object locally. This object is first decrypted and then stored in the local storage. Finally, it is decompressed and the fingerprint table gets updated that the file is present in the local storage and the read is successfully returned. Future read requests are served from the local storage and there is no need to egress the content out of cloud again. So some of the takeaways and learnings from employing these techniques are that not all data is compressible. Compression actually adds some latency. So you can remove the step of compression for data such as media and image files that you know cannot give you much benefit. Many organizations such as Box first store the data on premise and then upload it to cloud. And like I said, this saves the egress costs. And also many of the files are actually temporary in nature. For example, in Netflix, we generate a lot of content that is produced by these Netflix studios, and not all of the content is actually shipped in the final release. So a lot of the content is ephemeral in nature and they'll be deleted. And typically only 1 to 2% of the files go and make it to the final cut. So storing all of these files on cloud would just blow up the price that we have to pay for cloud. So what we do is instead is use a combination of cloud with on-premise systems, and we save egress and storage costs. Encryption is applied at the point of uploads to cloud so that you have an opportunity to employ compression and deduplication techniques on your on-premise storage. Online deduplication is tough because it requires a lot of state management, a lot of reference counting, and concurrent accesses need locking. So what companies do is they typically start off with offline deduplication to at least get some benefits and then try to move to online deduplication techniques. That's my talk. Thank you so much. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, email, or Twitter. Thank you.